Hello, everyone. In this presentation, we will go back to speaking about Lilith. Lilith was the subject of the last video, and we will add two feminine characters or archetypes. Characters and archetypes can be a little different, but I will limit my explanations here. We will add Melusine, who is a fairy, and the Black Madonna. We are coming to this subject because of the comments made by a French listener. Melusine appears in the European culture in different countries such as Belgium, Switzerland, and Germany. Now, to me, the most important part is that we need to learn to have the awareness of our thinking mechanisms and how we co-create. I like to say that human beings are the feedback mechanism of the spiritual consciousness, or the spiritual consciousnesses in charge of our world. So the two worlds are coming together, spirit world and physical world, and together we are co-creating the reality in which human beings are experiencing life. So the way we understand things in the third dimension, our level of imagination, our level of consciousness, our fears are actually promoting what we create, how we see the gods, how we see the spiritual world. And we need to pay attention because we are at the threshold, the opening of a new world. And we need to reframe our mind, our subconscious mind, in order to participate actively in the co-creation at a world at a higher level of frequency. So the strand that we are taking together aims at changing the way we co-create. I'm repeating myself. Who is Melusine? She appeared in Europe, in Greece with Herodotus, then in the Middle Age in various tales. In Luxembourg, for instance, she's the wife of Count Siegfried, founder of Luxembourg. In France, she's present in many legends as far as the 12th century. In the most famous tale, she's the daughter of Fay Persina, or Persine, married with the king of Albania. Persina condemned Melusine to morph from the waist down into a reptile. Every Saturday, there was a problem in the family. We are trying to make the story short. Melusine is then credited as the builder of many cities in Europe, Lausanne, Lusignan, Luxeuil, the most famous one being Lusignan, because of the known story attached to the city and to the counts of Lusignan. When Melusine married the Count Raymond or Raymondin of the Lusignan family, she gave him wealth and a lot of sons. They had a large family. They were happy, and all this in exchange for marriage. Melusine asked her husband to promise that he would never try to look at her while she would bathe on Saturdays. Well, Raymond failed, and he discovered the strange body of his wife. Melusine screamed when she was discovered and flew away in the shape of a flying dragon. So here we go again. We have families, leading families or royal families, trying to connect themselves with the past, with mythological or real characters, not human, like fairies and dragons. The origin of Melusine's name is interesting. We have two hypotheses. One is proposed by the Dictionnaire de la langue française. it says that at the core of the name Melusine, we can extract the Latin root melus for melodious or pleasant. So we have all the ingredients for fairy tales: fairies, magic fountains, magic waters, everything is there. Others believe that the name Melusine is built around the root lux, luce, light in English, a root found in the name of the cities, Lusignan, Lausanne in Switzerland, Luxembourg, the country. Open your imagination and dream. Well, obviously I didn't finish yesterday and the weather is much cooler today. Hallelujah. It is quite surprising to find a genealogy of the Lusignan family, including the Fairies, Persine, and Melusine. This reminds us that all over the world, royalties have claimed to be the descendants of the old dragons and the old gods. 20 years ago, when the spiritual government shifted to the light, there was a renewal in the spiritual hierarchies in charge of the planet. There was also a movement on Earth of several royal dynasties trying to assert their right to the throne. Melusine was then introduced as the matriarch of the house of Anjou de Vere. I quote, the dragon dynasty of Melusine and Anjou. Consequently, Raymondin, Melusine's husband, would be Count of Anjou de Vere. Well, the de Vere family didn't access the throne. Good for thought. These two images from the Middle Age are quite intriguing. On the left, we have Lilith with Adam and Eve, and on the right, Melusine, same body, same tail, same crown alluding to royal blood. Well, I have no explanation yet for the use of the stake. The deceased and loud descendant of the de Vere family claimed that Melusine descended from Lilith, Luluwas, and Cain. Cain's wife, Abel and Cain in the Bible, would be the daughter of the first Lilith with Samael. That would explain the resemblance. We just have a gap in time. By the way, Cain, as part of the royal dynasties, is discussed in my book, Amen, the Archangel Michael, the Messiah, and the Greater Bloodline. Did fairies truly marry mortals so recently in the Middle Age? Were those claims based on some reality and reminiscent of the past? A little further back, French people like to mention the Merovingian kings. Merovee, head of the dynasty, and sometimes considered a mythological character, is said to be the son of a marine beast, the Kinotaur. The Kinotaur is a bull, Horus, with 5 horns, quinte, meaning 5. Speaking about the number 5, we can connect two concepts. In the last video, we mentioned Blavatsky's ideas about Lilith. The Theosophists and myself believe in the existence of 5 human races. Lilith would belong to an early race closer to the animal state. The animal Eves and the human Adams would be the ancestors of older semi-human races such as the Satyrs. Let's just read a few lines in The Secret Doctrine. The animal Eves and the human Adams were the forefathers of the Satyrs, an extinct race of animal men. Hence, the Kabbalistic allegory of Lilith or Lilatu, Adam's first wife, described in the Talmud as a charming woman or a female, hairy animal. or a female animal. Reflection of Samael, poison of God, or man-animal united, a beast. So we mentioned 5 races, 5 worlds. This is a concept that is also found in the Jewish tradition. In the extended tree of life, we have 5 different levels. The Zohar mentions different steps in the manifestation process, although they would not use this kind of vocabulary. The Cadmon, or the primordial man or Adam, evolves through different planes of descension, Azilut, Beria, Yetzirah, etc. 5 worlds, the last and the physical being ours, the Asya Gashmi. Lilith would then be Adam's first wife in the Genesis, in the Bible, that tells us about 2 different steps in the creation. Again, trying to name everything, the mind errs. Errors. How much do we know? How much do I know? Back to Melusine, she's a reptile from the waist down, sometimes represented with 1 tail, sometimes 2. Also, when betrayed by her husband, she morphs into a screaming and flying dragon. As a summary, if we believe, as I do, that the dragons were our ancestors in the physical reality, mating with creatures coming from another part of the cosmos, winged creatures, we have the fairies. And then fairies marry human beings. Still the same stories. What is still important in the present is that Lilith is very much an archetype of rebellion. Rebellion against male power and rebellion against Yod-He-Go-E, the old god. Does this remind you of someone else? The leader of the rebels, Lucifer. Well, I do not believe that we should just be afraid of anything related to Lucifer or to the darkness. However, we need to support the evolution of the human race. We cannot just stand in the past and bring back the old archetypes. We are at a threshold, standing between 2 worlds. Our responsibility as co-creators is to choose love. Love is union. The world of the future is not the world of rebellion against the cosmos or just the affirmation of egocentric freedom. The world of the future is the world of the light. What do you want to promote? What do you want to support deep in your heart? Just think about it. Briefly, a scene a few days ago in France, in the city of Toulouse. A show was organized curiously just before Halloween. The crowds were invited to follow 2 automatons, Lilith and Asterion, a beast similar to Moloch, symbol of the old satanic tradition, practicing human sacrifices, and Lilith, the sensuous queen of the astral, tempting man and giving birth to hundreds of demons. Why do we want to focus on such archetypes, energies? Are we not supposed to create with our thoughts and intent? Well, there are thousands of good videos on YouTube about Lilith and about the past. The intent of this presentation is to stress out how religious trends push the human race in a specific direction, how humans' relationships with the energies, translated into archetypes, have slowly evolved, eventually guided by imperfect yet useful religious groups. Humankind in infancy, for instance, worshipped the goddess of fertility. Then, much later, with the introduction of the Christian Black Madonna, humans were invited to shift to a different level of interaction with the spiritual world or the spirit world. Of course, even if I am limiting this conversation to the Christian religion, it is not the only available path to consciousness. During my last trip, I unexpectedly landed in a Black Madonna sanctuary. I had totally missed the fact that the Montserrat monastery in Spain is dedicated to a Black Madonna. As nothing is coincidental, I wondered why I had to reconnect with this energy. Why was I back in time on a concept dealt with decades ago, while Lilith visited the sign of Libra? Because it was time for my divine consciousness to complete a time loop, the long quest of the human soul in the world of polarities. We will go back to this idea later on. The screams of women brandishing Lilith as their leader is understandable. What is the status of women, of the feminine aspect today in religion? Well, the term religion being used in the large sense as a tool for connection. In the regions dominated by Eastern philosophies or Islam, women are just emerging, still facing abuse and violence. In the Christian and Catholic Church, abandoned by a growing majority, the position of women has slowly evolved, still mixed with the imposed belief of salvation through Savior. I repeat myself. Why did the Black Madonna emerge? And why so late, around the 11th or even 12th century, according to most authors? In Spain, the Black Madonnas are mostly located on the Camino, sur le chemin de Compostelle, for the French listeners. Montserrat means lacerated mountain. This site is beautiful, gorgeous. It is said to have inspired Parsifal, the opera. In France, Black Madonnas are often called the virgins from the underworld, Notre-Dame sous terre. This is pretty self-explanatory. We are dealing with a Chthonian archetype. Let's visit and then decipher the message. Somewhere on the web, I read that as early as 233, the Archangel Saint Michael is said to have descended on the site of Montserrat to destroy an old temple that the Romans had erected to Venus around the year 160. That's a classic. At the onset of the Pisces era, the Archangel Michael and Christianity have taken over the main vortices, the one necessary, and revamped them into Christian sanctuaries. The oldest account about the onset of Montserrat dates from 1239. We are told that in 880, children in a pastoral context, that's another classic, experienced an apparition of the Virgin in a cave. You know, the same story played out repeatedly. Well, fun enough, it is now very politically incorrect to publicly say that you have visions, right? When I questioned the monks about these dates, the response was, this is a quote, Montserrat was founded in 1025 as a dependent house of Ripoll, the Ripoll monastery a few miles over. The date of 888 is the legendary date for the discovery of the image of the Virgin. which is a Romanesque carving from the 12th century. The reference to the Archangel Saint Michael is a legend that explains the finding of the holy image. End of quote. Weirdly, apparitions and interventions of Saint Michael in Christian history are always very timely and congruent with the secret tradition, evolving. At this point, I will tell my story. I was visiting Barcelona and then took a tour, which is not a habit because it was easier for transportation, to visit Montserrat. The guide escorted us towards the main church and gave us 20 minutes, barely enough time to run through the site and the chapels. As for the mother, she's located far from reach on the second floor, difficult to look at, to see, until I saw people lining up like little shadows next to the distant throne. Then turning around, I spotted a line of tourists outside the church on my right, waiting to climb a flight of stairs leading to the second floor. Fast forward, I left the group I was with and joined the other tourists. The walls, the ceiling, everything was painted, ornated. It's a pure marvel. Up the stairs, a narrow path, like the uterus, led to the upper chapel, the most gorgeous part of the whole site. Here we go. I was finally right in front of her, the Mother in Majesty, the throne of wisdom. She's just feminine power, smiling at the visitor, giving and receiving love. After the meeting with the Black Madonna, the visitors cross another narrow corridor leading to the upper chapel, the most gorgeous part of the whole site for me. In the esoterical tradition, the entrance into a church or a cave symbolizes the will to enter the womb of the Great Mother, the vessel of manifestation of spirit in 3D, the three-dimensional world. For more about the Black Madonna, you're invited to read the book Amen, page 160 and following. The High Chapel at Montserrat is circular. The visitor is surrounded by angels and stunning beauty. Across from the Black Madonna stands the Archangel Michael slaying the dragon. Bear with me if you're a new listener. This is a pure example of esoterical versus exoterical. We are speaking the language of the birds. The Saint Trinity in the High Chapel is hidden from the crowd. The Archangel Michael, the dragon, and the mother, the Black Madonna, are the three figures found on the most powerful sites across the planet, and especially in Europe. The sacred chapel is above the main church, far from the view of the simple visitor. What it means is that it takes effort and courage to understand the secrets and reach the world of angels and archangels. The discovery of the Black Madonna, symbol of the Great Mother, is the Christian version of the mysteries. The goddess can only give birth when spirit meets matter or when the light joins the darkness, hence the passage into the cave or the underworld. The Black Mother is Mother in Majesty and the throne of wisdom. She's also full feminine power, quietly smiling at the visitor, giving and receiving love. My take on this specific Madonna and sanctuary It's based on personal experience, what I would call intuitive reading of religious history. My energy field and cellular memories connected immediately with the site and with the 10th century, not the actual statue, although I love her. I connected with a French monk who was sent to Ripoll, and it makes sense. The Ripoll Benedictine monastery, just try to follow. The Ripoll Benedictine monastery was founded at the end of the 9th century, between 879 and 880. Montserrat was dependent on Ripoll. The Muslims, the Umayyad Caliphate, invaded Spain early 8th century and reached Catalonia, early 8th century. They dominated the Iberian Peninsula, Spain, and Portugal until 1492. Although the priests and monks flee, they probably hid the figure of the Madonna in the mountain. However, while the Moorish were in power, the monks from France and Italy were visiting Spain to exchange information, books, and culture, and had monasteries in Spain. Besides remembering that and observing my strong cellular reactions to the site, I curiously found myself in the middle of the yearly celebration of the reconquest by the Christians in Malaga. There, a multidimensional loop was completed. One of the anchored data, besides the end of the mysteries, was about bringing peace between Christians and Muslims. The monk that I connected with is said to have spent 3 years in the monasteries of Vic and Ripon, Benedictine monasteries, between 967 and 970, under the protection of the Abbé Hatton, Bishop of Vic. His mentor, Borel II, Count of Toulouse, was a Christian, the Borel being the descendants of the Counts of Toulouse in the south of France. I believe that the monk I am connected with was instrumental in the installation of the cult of the Black Madonna in Montserrat. Now, after a stroll in the Black Madonna sanctuary, we are back to looking at the evolution of the feminine archetype. We started with the impetuous, sensuous, and primary being symbolized by Lilith. Lilith is a symbol of rebellion, or she's connected to the primary basic human graces. From there, we enter deep into the world of duality. Rebellion, Lucifer working with Venus, the double-sided star. Duality. Lilith is presented as a demon. Demon is Deus in verses, matter and spirit. No judgment. Both polarities are necessary and combined in the game of creation. The Benedictine monks, under the authority of the Archangel Michael, who tames the chaos of primeval creation, the dragon, and anchors the light, have prepared the soil for the new cycle. The legend says, at Montserrat, Michael removed Venus, the goddess connected with duality. The old goddess was then replaced by the Christian figure. The monk, Gerbert d'Aurillac, was a conduit and at service to the Archangel Michael. He and his brothers offered a new step to the worshippers. Look further. Look at the Mother in Majesty, and she's called the Sedes Sapiente, She is the integrated Sophia, wisdom. As for yourself, pay attention, work on yourself. Have a last good look at your darkness and move towards the light with the anchor of the light, the Archangel Michael. I am going to repeat because I know this is a lot for some people. Why did the monks install Black Madonnas 1,000 years ago? To remind us that humans were still required to take the path of initiation, means going into the underworld. They still needed to meet Notre-Dame-sous-Terre, or the Chthonian aspect of the mother, underground. This was the necessary step to reach the light anchored by the Archangel Michael. Human beings were still required to work on their own darkness and reach equilibrium between the extremes. This is the way to the merging of the energies in the heart. The detail and good news for those who can hear. A merging of time spaces occurred on September 8, on the anniversary day of 1492, date of the recovery of Spain by the Christians. This was the end of a historical time loop, meant to bring peace between Christians, Jews, and Muslims. We all need to recalibrate, upgrade our minds, our beliefs, let go of the old vision of what reality and the gods may be, so as to support the anchor of the new reality. Peace be with you. Now we are together going to explore our connection with the feminine and with the moon. So sit comfortably on the floor, on a chair, and breathe. First, focus on your breathing so as to quiet your body and induce a state of peace and relaxation. And now we will imagine that we're capable of going on the moon. So bring yourself with your imagination to whatever you think the moon is. As it shines at night, full or not, how does it feel to look at the moon? Remember when you were a child, how you wondered about this shiny object in the sky. Well, this is the opportunity to come closer. Reach out with your consciousness and imagine that you are walking embracing the energy of the moon. Is it cold, warm, strange? Do you need a special equipment to breathe? Or can you just embrace the moon energetically? Just thinking about the moon, does it remind you of old practices and rituals? Do you remember dancing at the full moon? The fires, the joy, the excitement? The feeling of community with your friends or family participating? And now, I would like you to imagine that you are indeed attending a ritual at the full moon. You're warming up next to the fire. And then you feel a sudden urge to leave. Leave the group and go walk by yourself in the night. Where are you? Next to a forest? On a beach at night? Where are you? Can you feel the connection with nature, whatever your mind created for you? The elements. You're working towards an unknown destination. Yet you know the wind, you know the trees, but it is dark. And maybe you feel some apprehension. Resist to the idea of using a light. Just go in the dark. Feel how the night can be embracing you, enveloping your body. And if you are willing and able, open to its magic. Continue walking until you reach a complete different landscape. What do you see? What is your magic landscape at night? Is there something going on? An old town bringing you back to the past, or a cave, or an old church if you have lived or incarnated in Europe. Just go for it and have a place where you can sit comfortably. Breathe, feel your breathing, feel your heart. And ask to meet with the aspect of the feminine that you should deal with today. Our goal is to see where we are, deal with it, and then move on. In our stroll into the past, we have spoken about different archetypes: Lilith, Melusine, Fairies, the Black Madonnas. Which one do you want to relate with today? You do not see anything, make a decision and pick one. And you ask, what is your connection with this feminine character that you have in front of you? If you have met Lilith, you need to deal with an aspect of yourself an aspect of your past that you have been ignoring. Either a trauma or something that was an obligation in your spiritual map, leading you to meet Lilith. You feel anything in terms of sexuality, or the need to express your power loudly. Whether you are in a male or female body, what is Lilith adding to your personality? Be smiling, laughing, screaming. If you feel more comfortable now, connecting with a fairy. Why do you need that? Are you a child? You looking for more joy, simple joy like a child in your life? What do you believe about fairies? Good, bad, elusive? What do you like? The wings? The play? The hidden old dragon blood? You like fairy tales? Now, third possibility in relationship with our presentation, you want to meet the Great Mother, eventually as a Black Madonna. Well, we can pretend that we are going into a cave where the Mother sits in majesty, whether she's a statue or real, whether she has a child on her lap or not. Just meet the Mother. What is she doing? What is the color of her skin? Is there anyone around you? They are light or darkness? Do you feel love? Do you feel power coming from her? What do you feel? And you see the light that she's associated with. And you see and feel field, the energy field, the egregore of love attached to the Great Mother. Quiet power, yet you feel embraced by love, security, safety. You can stay on this idea for a long time, but I would like you to ask the mother, does she has a message for you? What is the thing, the aspect of life that you need to address? And how can love, divine love, as embodied by the mother, can assist you in this part of your quest?